these are the thunderstorm outlooks. These are the days ahead that we're kind of focusing in on. And actually, there's what we've got for tomorrow. A small area of isolated potential severe. Tomorrow, not our biggest focus, but we could still see a couple thunderstorms pop.
Kate, you were so right about that. And, you know, joining us now is Scott Teel. He's with Agility Recovery Solutions, helping families and businesses across the continent in disaster preparedness recovery. They help a lot of folks. Thanks so much for getting up and joining us this morning.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
So, Scott, we have a lot of people out there trying to make those preparations, you know, now, today, before they get into the work week with their families. What is the #1 thing that families can do right now to be prepared for the potential severe weather this week?
Well, with it being Easter, now is a great time to sit down with your family and talk about your plan. Now, you should assess really one of the greatest threats to your family near your home or your place of business or even the schools where your children attend, and find out what you would do if something bad were to happen. How do you communicate? How do you get back in touch? And where would you meet if something happened to your home?
Scott, you know, I know that you've worked with the American Red Cross. You are with the American Red Cross as a volunteer. During hurricane season, we also often talk about preparedness kits. Well, I know in tornado season, we do the same thing. In terms of a kit, what kind of things would you suggest people put in one?
Well, especially this time of year, power outages are going to be one of the #1 things that the typical family experiences after a thunderstorm or tornado. So having a flashlight, batteries, and a weather radio is very, very important. But also, when the power's out and communications are cut, you can't use a credit card, you can't use a debit card, so having cash on hand, just a little bit, enough to buy a couple meals or some basic supplies would be smart as well.
Yeah, Scott, good ideas for the family, but what about if you own a business? Any ideas for businesses?
Yes, sir. In fact, the thing that we recommend most is that business leaders look at what their critical business functions are. How do you protect those? If you have certain vendors that provide things to you, you might want to have a backup vendor just in case those people experience some sort of natural disaster or other disaster at their place of business. So assess your risks to your business and determine what your critical business functions are to keep things in business.
Now, Scott, I know you touched on this just a little bit a while ago. Let's revisit this for a moment. In terms of staying informed, let's say the power goes out, what would you recommend?
Well, in those cases, obviously, as I mentioned, the weather radio is important, but also know which news broadcast media outlets like the Weather Channel or your local media can give you the best information and how to obtain that. There's websites, radio stations, television stations that can give you that information, but also a news service that's available to smartphone users called WEA Alerts, Weather Emergency Alerts. All smartphones are capable of receiving these. You just have to make sure that your settings are correct on your phone in order to get those. But should there be a risk in your area, those are automatically pushed out to your phone so you'll know how to respond.
Scott, on behalf of America and on behalf of the Weather Channel, we thank you so much for your time, for your service, and wish you a wonderful weekend. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Happy Easter.
You too. All right, Kate.